We love you. Part 3. Michael Ryan, The Hungerford, Berkshire, England, 1987, 19th of August. A sunny afternoon. The massacre that changed Hungerford forever. As Michael Ryan could not start his car, he shot bullets into it. He shot bullets into his baby, the beloved car he loved. Only if his car had started, who knows where he had or would have gone. This massacre may not have happened the way it did, but that doesn't mean he would have shot anybody else, because he had already shot a couple of people before this had happened. And something had triggered in his head. I don't know what, but he had been, this had been building up in his system for quite a while, apparently. And he was just out of control, and there was no turning back. He heavily armed himself with a semi-automatic rifle, Beretta pistol, and another weapon. A semi-automatic rifle is no weapon to mess with. I mean, you weren't gonna escape this semi-automatic. First he goes into the neighbor's garden. As he shot bullets and everything, he went and got heavily armed, and he proceeded to go down to the neighbor's, and which was probably a few doors down. And if he saw movement, you were gonna be his target. A few doors down in the back garden, Shirley and Ronald are in the garden. It's a lovely sunny day. They're in the garden. The husband's doing some gardening, and they're tending to the flowers and they're talking. Michael comes around and shoots them dead. And then he proceeds to go on. And another neighbor was walking by and hears gunshots, but thinks it's Michael playing around with his guns again. See, these neighbors don't take much notice of Michael Ryan because they are so used to him with his guns and shooting around, shooting in the air, that this lady didn't pay much attention to him because she never thought, and she hadn't heard all these killings yet. And she proceeds to just keep walking by. As she walks by, and Michael's messing around, this time Michael had gone back to his car again, and he was in his car getting stuff out. And she kind of looks at him, and he looks back at her, and she looks at him, and she just carries on walking by. Michael Ryan walked around the corner and started following her, like he's stalking her. And she's just not taking any notice. And then he starts shooting. And this lady, for some reason, I don't know, she wasn't scared, but he started shooting his semi-automatic. And he's shooting at the ground. He wanted her to turn around. He wanted her to look him in the face. But she didn't turn back. She didn't even stop. He wanted to make her dance. He was shooting bullets near her feet and they were pinging off the ground. But somehow this lady she just kept on walking. Wow. She just kept on walking as he's firing, but he hasn't hit her yet. He's trying to scare her. He's trying to make her look around. And then she gets nearer her home, and she kind of veers off to the left, and she's still not looking. And she's heading to the alley, and she's walking into her home. She didn't look. She didn't scream. She never said a word. She just keeps on walking. And Michael Ryan is following her. She thought, because this is a statement that she had made, she thought he was messing around. And she didn't want nothing to do with it. She didn't want nothing to do with it at all. This is what she thought. Wow, this lady wasn't scared one bit and thought he was messing around. This is how they have become with Michael Ryan. Complacent. They kind of let him do what he wants and thought he was no danger to anybody because, he hasn't been in trouble before. And she gets into her home. I don't know about this woman, but was she deaf and blind? I don't know. But she lives to tell the tale. She lives to tell the tale, this lady does. And he didn't shoot her. She's in her home. And now she kind of looks out the window and sees Michael Ryan shooting down the road. She's looking and she's watching him shooting. And then he moves down the road. And then she thinks to herself, he's going to kill somebody. This is now where she starts to thinking that he's out of control. And they say that he didn't really have it out for anyone, particularly. Not anyone that he has a grudge against. He's known these people for all his life. He's not feeling like they've done him wrong. That's how they're saying this, and this is how they feel. But the thing is, he had contempt and anger for other people's lives. This is what they're saying, the witnesses and the people that knew him said that, I guess, his life didn't turn out too good the way he's feeling in his head. And these people had their life together and happy. They're all happy. They had a good life. And he had a bad life. He was bullied. He was bullied when he was young. In his teenage days, he was bullied. And this is how he's feeling. And he has a lot of resentment, which is not really anybody's fault. But anyway, he was a mama's boy. And this man has gone off the rails. He runs down the road. And he is entering people's gardens. Now, number 13, two teenage girls were at the side of their home or just in the backyard, and they were talking, and he must have heard them. So he goes down there and he shoots them. There's nowhere really for these girls to go. But he starts shooting them. One gets away. One does manage to get away. But he kills the other girl, her friend. And in the meanwhile, calls are coming in to 999. We need help. We need ambulances. Blood is all over. I can't tell you what's going on. Because they're all too afraid. In them days, The call center, as I said earlier in one of my videos, the call center didn't work very well. It was very outdated, very old-fashioned, and it did work. It did work. But on this scale, there's no way that this system is going to work. Not with one operator, one policeman on duty, 30 miles away to the next police station, which is in Newbury. And it all goes on like that. The phone calls are coming in. The operator is saying, yeah, okay. And he puts another phone call through. Yeah, okay. And it just keeps going on like that. This man doesn't even know what the hell's going on. He's getting thousands of calls, thousands, hundreds, many hundreds. And there's only 2 lines. Like I said, very outdated. And this all took up time, valuable time, for a response team to respond. You have to go from A to B to C. So emergency help wasn't coming as quick as possible. And we got to remember, Newbury has an ambulance station, has a fire station, but these little towns don't have fire station, ambulance stations. They're here, there, and far between. And this one was, the nearest town was Newbury, and that was 30 miles away. And the roads are small there, and, it's very countrified. Still, the calls are coming in. The operator is getting very overwhelmed and pushed over the limit. Southview, which is what they call the area where the lady had gone into the house at the safe point, the one that was getting shot up earlier. They call that Southview. Well, Michael Ryan had gone back to her house, was passing her house, and she had spoke too soon. She thought she was safe. But the thing is, she was kind of still looking out the window and kind of, looking and peeking out the window. And Michael Ryan saw her and saw her shadow. So Michael Ryan starts shooting the house down. He starts shooting at anything. He sees movement, he's shooting. He shot at all her windows out. But this lady got hit trying to escape the bullets, and she got shot in the back. All that time he was shooting at her. And he didn't shoot her once, but he shot many bullets at her from his semi-automatic. And not one did hit her. But he goes back and sees movement, and she gets shot in the back. So now she is injured, and she does make a phone call for an ambulance and tells her which house she's in and that she has been shot. And she informs them that the gunman is Michael Ryan. And she tells him all about what he's doing. But you know what? The calls are coming in already, and the ambulance and police are on their way, but it's a war zone. It's just complete war zone. Nobody can compete with a semi-automatic rifle. Newbury police were heading to Hungerford, but and they think he's like, they hear gunshots, but they think like, this is how the police think in them days. Oh, they're shooting up birds or something, like that. It's the country. That's what they do. The information wasn't getting out there in the right way. There's some people not getting notified of the exact thing that's going on. There ain't no person, shooting at birds. There's people, they're panicked people. They're seeing people getting shot. And there's a common near this town. They call the common, which is a play area, a park, just a field where people go sit. And there's a little wooded pathway where people have to go from the common to get back to the housing estate. And there's people getting shot there. There was a man with his boy, and this man was shot, but he was still alive, but his boy was dead. And then they shot at somebody else that was like on the common, walking their dogs or something. It was a lovely summer's day. But in the meanwhile, Jim was in another police car. He's the PC, he's the officer, the police officer, the little Bobby. And Roger had gone and got there before him. And this is why I say earlier in my other video that Roger and Jim are teammates. They ride in the squad cars together. And on this day, they never normally do it, but on this day, they decided to go in separate cars. I don't know why, but it saved one of their lives. And Roger had got there earlier and was ambushed. He went right into Michael Ryan's. And Michael Ryan's started shooting with his semi-automatic into the car. And Roger had managed to get on the radio, "Help, I've been shot, I've been shot." And his friend Jim heard this, and he says, "Okay, Roger, I'm coming." And Jim was very scared at that time because his friend had just been shot. And then they tried to call the squad car again and again and again, and there's no answer. Roger is not answering the radio. By this time, Jim had got to the area, and he was the other side of the housing estate. He was like near the common. He had gone that way, and when he came to that little pathway that goes into the housing estate from the common, he then sees the two people, a father and son, and he can see the police car, Roger's car. But Roger's not answering, but he sees the squad car. And he sees the gunman. And he sees the gunman shooting into the police car. There is another car nearby too. That had all the windows out. And Michael Ryans is shooting into this police car. And he knows there's nothing he can do. There's nothing. Roger is dead. 23 bullets went into this squad car. 23 bullets. Riddled with bullets, the windows shot out. Then Jim calls for armed backup. The calls go through to Kinlenton. I think it's Kidlenton, which is about 40 miles away. This is where the armed police are stationed and are out on training course. And they are about an hour away, and they are in the field. And this is what they said earlier, that they were, on this day, was not the day for them to be in the field training. But these circumstances, these events leading up, it all went wrong that day. It all went wrong. The guy that's in charge, the firearmed police, They can't get there for over an hour, at least they can't get there for over an hour. And the shooting is continuing. But they are in luck. They are in luck because a guy that trains these people, that trains the armed police, happens to be in his car, driving and listening to the police scanner. He hears the call that Roger makes. I've been shot. I've been shot. And he is the one that can help. He is the one that has access to guns. He knows how to use them, and he has been trained for something like this to happen. Finally, the armed police technical team are here. They have guns. The guns. By this time, the helicopters are out. They are scanning the area for any movement, any shots, to see where this man is exactly. So the armed police don't get shot at and don't get killed, because if they get killed, because they know this man's got a semi-automatic, there's nobody coming for help until he runs out of bullets. So he wants to know where this gunman is. And suddenly, Michael Ryan shoots with his semi-automatic and starts shooting at the helicopter. So now they know where he is. So they relay the message where Michael Ryan is. Now Michael Ryan is trapped. He's in the school. Michael Ryan went into the local school. He shot his way into the school. And now he's trapped. Now the technical team, the armed police, have surrounded the school. And they yell out to him, Michael, where are you? Michael? And then Michael says, yeah, what? Kind of thing. He probably said a few more other things than that. They want to talk to him. Michael Ryan says, stay back. I have a grenade. I have a grenade and I've got it in my hand. Don't come any further. And then Michael Ryan says, where is my mother? Is my mother okay? Where's my mother? How is she? How is she? Please tell me, how is my mother? And I'm not sure if the police knew at that time his mother was dead. And then Michael Ryan says, it was a mistake. It was a big mistake. I didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean to kill his mother. It was a mistake. That's what he said. 16 people are dead. 15 people are seriously injured. The houses are on fire. It's over. Jim, the PC, has to break the news to Roger's wife. He has been killed in the line of duty. And Jim says he still can't remember really why they went in separate cars. I don't know if this was something to do with God. They needed one alive. I don't know. He just don't know why they went in separate cars. Suddenly, a shot rings out in the school. And there is silence. There is silence. The police are, calling out, Michael Ryan's. Michael Ryan's, you know, Michael Ryan's. But before they heard them shots, Michael Ryan asked, "What is the time? What is the time?" And the armed police say, "Michael, it is 6:45 p.m." And Michael shoots himself, one bullet to the head. They said, "Fun-loving England, we don't want guns. We don't need guns." Changed England forever. 1 year later, semi-automatic weapons were outlawed by the government. Britain's police were given new communication system, separate radio channels for major incidents like this. Then the 9/9 system was updated and fully modernized. This was a little too late for Hungerford, a small town where village people knew everyone just about. They knew a lot of people that were killed that day, and they were never the same. We don't know why Michael Ryan went on a rampage, went on this massacre. We don't know because Michael Ryan took the easy way out and shot himself. One bullet. In the school he used to go to and attend. So guys, that's the end of Michael Ryan's story of the massacre that happened in Hungerford in 1987. A small little village town were all massacred, and it changed England forever. It changed their gun laws. There's nobody that can have ever own a semi-automatic again. Only armed military, armed police, special forces. They changed it on that day, a year later. So one good thing did come out of it, because this could have happened again. So guys, thank you for stopping by and listening to part 3.